What's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find these album reviews, you can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I will be posting the last set of the Envy on the Coast tour, so definitely check that out tomorrow. That will be going up probably before this video goes up, so definitely check that out. Also, check out our other review of Tiny Moving Parts, Swell. Amazing record, so definitely go give that one a listen to if you had the chance to. And going to a ton of shows in February. I'll probably give you guys an update video on that soon, so definitely check back with the channel for that. So if you enjoyed any of that, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit that thumbs up. It really does go a long way, and thank you guys for your immense support. So tonight we're going to be talking about Marmozets' new record, Knowing What You Know Now.
I don't dance 'cause I want to. I dance 'cause I need to.
So I've heard about this band. I've been kind of an on-again, off-again fan. I wasn't necessarily too big on their last record. I know a lot of people like that record, but I wasn't too interested in it. And I know that they were doing a new record, so I was checking out some of the singles that they had released, and I was like, "This is really good." I think they kind of honed in on the sort of chaoticness, and I definitely liked the approach that they were going for in the songs that they had released. So I wanted to give this album a listen. I know that they are really popular in the UK, and they're kind of, I guess, semi-popular in the US, so I wanted to do a review of this one, and it just caught my ear, and it was something that I was just interested in. So I'm going to go through each track, give you my thoughts and opinions on all of them, give some pros and cons on the record, and then I'm going to finish it out with an overall rating like normal. So we're getting into the first track, which is called Play. I believe this is one of the singles that they had released at the time. Really like the cool intro of this track. The drums and vocals really kind of set it off at the beginning of the track. There's just something really infectious about this track, and just as I was going through, listening through it multiple times, this track, as soon as it came on, I was just like, ah, shit, this is my jam, you know? So, really appreciated that. It has really great energy to it. I think Becca, the vocalist, she really does an awesome job. She has really sort of interesting vocals, anything from, like gritty, like, vocals to, like, screams to, like, just insane vocal range. So I was really intrigued on that alone. I think the cadence of her voice is really good, especially when she has more of those like tender moments, which you'll kind of hear throughout in the later tracks. But this one's really cool. I really appreciate the harmonies and the pre-chorus. I think one of the other members does kind of backing vocals, and that was such a good smart move on their part. I think that they kind of counterbalance in a really unique way and a really good way too, and it's something that kind of sticks out because her voice is just kind of like really all over the place, and their backing vocalist, he's got a really solid male vocal. So definitely like the contrast of that, but I think it just works in harmony really well. The instruments have this sort of grittiness to it, and I think it's a great track to start this record off with. So we're gonna move into track number 2, which is Habits. Really liking the interesting and unique guitar effects in this intro. I think they were really cool. The vocals have this awesome harmonization to it as well. The chorus has this really cool melodicness to it, and it kind of highlights more of the subtle vocals and more of the falsetto of Becca. I think she does a really killer job in this track. It's definitely a great follow-up track to Play. Really high energy as well, continuing on that sort of train of high energy, and bringing the sort of noise of this record so far. Been really great ride. So we're going to move into track number 3, which is Meant to Be. Really liking the sort of gritty, grungy tones of this track. It's kind of a deviation from the first two that do have that sort of vibe, but this one definitely has more of that sort of grit and grunge to it, which I love about that. I think that there was a great inclusion on this one. Another really cool harmonization part as well in the second verse and the pre-chorus of this track, again, meshes up really well. I don't know how to say it because I'll probably say it a million more times, but I think it's really good. Loving the aggressive tonality in certain parts of this track, and it kind of cleans up really nicely too. There's a nice balance between the grit and the clean, which works out well, and I'm surprised at how balanced the tracks have been so far, considering that a lot of the tracks have been sort of just high energy, and just kind of like really, I guess aggressive in a sense. Like they just have this sort of grit and just grunge to it, which is cool. But I thought it was going to be overwhelming, but it actually wasn't. It just kind of balanced out very well. The structure of the tracks have been really phenomenal too. So I really enjoyed this one. So we're gonna move into track number 4, which is Major System Error. The vocals have this like insane, interesting, like sort of distorted effect to her vocals, and it kind of works in an interesting and unique way. I know that they have definitely been trying some really weird stuff, but in some cases it just works out, and I think in this one it does. I feel like the song kind of comes together after the chorus for sure. The guitars have more of this drive and sort of like distorted tone to them, which kind of again plays along with sort of Becca's distorted vocals as well. And I really like the harmonization that comes in at the second chorus. It offers a nice counterbalance to the track. Again, it's been more sort of grunge and just dirty, and this one kind of cleans it up a little bit in terms of that. I also like the bit of horns that they add to break up the track. I think that that was a really smart move, and it definitely kind of makes the track a little bit more interesting and unique. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is Insomnia. The vocals are really different and unique in this track. I know I keep saying it, but just if you listen to this album from front to back, you cannot tell me the vocals do not change from play to the very last track on this record. It's really interesting, and she just has quite a range. That's all I'm gonna say. So, the track is a little bit less chaotic than the past few tracks have been, which is really nice. This has more acoustics to it. Violins are added, and it kind of added a really cool depth to the track as well. And it's a nice change of pace from what's been kind of a little bit, again, chaotic, sporadic, all that sort of stuff, any of those sorts of adjectives used to describe this album so far. And it just kind of shows this band in a different light. It shows that they could do those sort of softer, more melodic bass tracks. So I like that they kind of reined it in a little bit. It's been, if like all of the tracks were like this, I would say that it would have been a little bit rough, but I would have gotten through it. This one definitely kind of, it feels like an oasis in the desert. You know what I mean? So I do like that. I'm just not sure how I feel on this track. It might be a little bit too psychedelic for my taste, particularly. It's a little off the wall towards, I would say, the end. I mean, I do appreciate the sort of experimentation that they went on with this one, but I think it might have went a little bit too far in the experimentation. I feel like if they kept it very traditional, it could have been really good and borderline really awesome stuff, and it would have been nice to see that counterplay between the sort of more, again, chaotic tracks versus the sort of more melodic tracks. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is Lost in Translation. Liking the vocals and just the chorus, the vocals and the drums in the intro, sorry, with the guitars cutting in and out. I think that was a cool sort of, again, effect going on there. The chorus is super catchy. I would say that this one is probably one of my favorite choruses off the record for sure. And the track definitely brings up the energy level, again, compared to Insomnia, ironically. I think that they just kind of brought that back up again, and the aggression level just kind of punches you in this track, which works out perfectly to kind of, again, get that sort of energy level back up at top mass over here. So we're gonna move into track number 7, which is Start Again. Really liking the expansive opening of this track. I think it's one of the more unique sort of intros to the track and album so far. This one definitely has more of a pop vibe to it. I think that they experimented a lot more. They added more electronics to the tracks. It has sort of a pop vibe to it with some grit attached to it. You can definitely hear this sort of more pop influence in the tracks, especially in the chorus, because it's just so damn infectious. I love the chorus in this one as well. And the vocal lines and the melodies in this track were just kind of unmatched, and it was definitely kind of interesting turn of events in this album so far. A lot of the tracks have been kind of like more bold and brash, and this one is still kind of bold and brash, but in a sort of pop sense, which was really cool. So, like the sort of genre change, I think it worked well in their favor, and definitely like this track a lot. So, we're gonna move into track number 8, which is Like a Battery. Wow, this is just a freaking unique track. I think it's definitely one of the black sheep tracks off the record. It's just interesting, but it really works out in a cool way. The layered vocals just pick up right away, and it almost has that sort of avant-garde feeling. Very reminiscent to me of stuff that like Chiodos used to do, like old Chiodos, like Bone Pals Ballet. I forget the other one, but the other old Chiodos record, I feel like an idiot for not remembering it. But definitely has that sort of avant-garde feeling to it, which I appreciate. The bridge has this cool piano part that kind of breaks up the track, and again, it kind of reminds me of a modern day Chiodos track. Really something interesting, really unique, and kind of out of left field, which I loved. So we're getting into the home stretch of the tracks. Track number 9, New Religion. This track has some really great energy to it as well, and structure, and it just comes out swinging. The chorus is an absolute banger and just in your face the entire time. And just in general, I would say this one is just up in front. It shows no mercy, and it just has this great punchiness to it, which I love. The vocal is definitely cut through in just such a way in this track, and it's a high energy sort of rock track that just sits super well on this record so far. Definitely one of my favorite tracks off the record, period. I think it just kind of brings this great energy, which I wouldn't say has been lacking, because a lot of these tracks are just high energy, but this one is definitely one that stuck out to me for sure. So we're going to move into track number 10, which is Me and You. Definitely appreciating the sort of softer, more ambient vibes. I like the vibes that they're going with this one, very much so in like Insomnia, which I didn't really like. I thought Insomnia was okay. I think this one they did kind of a better job. You get to hear, I guess, Becca's voice in the sort of most natural state and natural range. Its obviously main focus is to highlight their vocalist and just in a different light. It's a nice track to break up this sort of high energy that this album has been bringing so far, and it's just a nice change of pace. Again, I like when bands kind of diversify and try something different, and I think with this one they definitely did that for sure. So we're going to move into track number 11, which is Suffocation. Loving the gritty tonality of this track. I liking the back and forth between the vocalist and the backing vocalist in this track. I think it was a nice little counterbalance that they had going on in this track. It was something that, again, I wasn't expecting, but it worked out in this really cool way. Liking the switch up in the chorus, I thought that was really cool. It borrows a lot from sort of that math rock. It's like all over the place. The track kind of goes in sort of a darker direction, but then in the verses it kind of doesn't as much. So really interesting counterplay with that, and this one is another unique track that I definitely feel like a lot of people should listen to. It's really wild, but it works out super well in this track too. So we're gonna move into the last track, which is Run with the Rhythm. Loving the harmonization in the intro. I like how much and how often it's been utilized throughout this record. I think that it's been a really kind of staple to this record, in a way, and it just offers a different sort of counterplay between the two kind of vocalists, one being a backing vocalist and one being obviously Becca, the front woman. So it works really well in that regard. Liking the cool expansiveness. I like the experimentation that they got going on here, and definitely builds and builds throughout the track. When it gets to the bridge, it still kind of continues to build, and I think the payoff is pretty decent. I would say it could have been definitely a little bit better, but I think it's a cool track to end the record nonetheless. I think it really ends this record off on a good note. Overall, I think it was a really unique record, unlike anything I've heard in quite a while. Definitely genre breaking for sure, and just is an interesting record from beginning to end. it was a record that, again, I didn't know what to expect going into. Obviously, I had listened to the singles and I had kind of an idea of how it was gonna go, and I had an idea of what they sounded like prior to this record. And I feel like for me, as a new listener, they kind of hit it on all cylinders for me. It's really unique. It's one that I feel like I wouldn't get tired of listening to many times. And as I was listening to this record, I was like, this is really unique. And there are some things that when I'm listening to the record, I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I didn't pick that out for the last time. So I feel like it has a lot of repeat value, and it was just unique from front to back. It's like unlike any record that anybody else has put out in a long time. And I mean that in the most genuine way. Uh, Really great stuff. Definitely one of my most interesting releases of this year, and I'd love to see them live. I know that they're coming to the US, and they're doing a tour, which I'm super stoked on. I will definitely be trying to get off for that, and if I can, fingers crossed, I'd love to get a review. Marmozets, if you're watching, let's do this. I'd love to get an interview with you guys to kind of talk about the record. It'd be really dope. So my overall record for Marmozets, knowing what you know now, I'm going to be giving it a 9.7 out of 10. I definitely recommend checking out this record. Killer stuff, unlike what I was expecting at all. I really kind of went in with an open mind, and I was really kind of surprised and blown back by how good this record was. Definitely gonna be a top contender for album of the year for sure. Even it being January already, I think it's gonna stay up there just because it's so unique from front to back. Again, I love albums that have a lot of repeat value and ones that either I grow attached to, instrumentally and kind of vocally, or ones that I grow attached to more like lyrically and just having sort of intricacy. So definitely more on the sort of instrumental and vocal side. I think it's just really unique, and is a really special record. So you should definitely go check it out. Links will be in the description if you want to check out this band. Please do. Really good stuff, really underrated, especially in the US. So definitely give them a listen if you get the chance to. I highly doubt you'll be disappointed. If you are, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this record. I really like to know about it. I love to get a gauge on what people think about it. Obviously, a lot of these reviews are my own personal how I feel about them, and just albums that I want to do reviews on. So if you have anything that you think is interesting, maybe in the sort of same wheelhouse as this band, definitely shoot me a DM or a comment below. I'd love to check out similar stuff to this because I think it's really cool, and it's definitely genre breaking in my opinion. So if you enjoyed this review, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit that thumbs up. It really does go a long way. Thank you guys so much for your support. My name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.